Joy, for sharing that story. I'd never heard the whole backstory about the book. I knew Charles through my friend Deirdre. When she accepted the job with Tennessee Donor Services, I just moved into a lovely apartment that had been redone, and she said, "Can I live with you?" So I moved to the other side, and we lived together. And I ended up getting to know Charles because he lived on the other side of the duplex we lived in. So we spent a lot of time together, and as she grew in her knowledge of transplant, I am an RN as well. I learned a lot of things I never knew about that, and I thank Charles for that. Did also get to spend some time several years ago in California getting to know Dana after you became a wonderful part of his life and brought that smile to his face. Today I'm reading a letter that was written to Dana from LaQuayia, Goldring, a kidney transplant recipient. And she says to Dana, "Thank you for sharing your husband with the world. He was an angel on earth and one of the best men to walk this earth. He spoke so highly of his love for you and your beautiful life together. If you ever want to share stories about him, I'm a listening ear. I'm sorry I didn't get to visit and meet you before his passing. May God grant you the peace and covering every step of the way. Thank you for sharing this news with me, Miss Dana. God bless you. I'm sorry for this great loss. I will always have a special place in my heart for Charles. He was definitely a champion and a leader." According to Dana, Charles was supporting and encouraging LaQuayia during the final months while she was awaiting this much-needed transplant. She received her transplant the end of June. The end of June. She sent the following message in follow-up. "I'm in the hospital, recovering from kidney transplant he's waited for several years with me to get. God bless you." I'd like to invite Karen Ross.
Hi everybody, I want to echo thank you for being here today to honor my very dear friend and former boss, Charles Bearden. Charles Bearden, Deirdre McAdams, and Tracy Hedrick took a chance on a young critical care nurse who was looking for something a little bit more meaningful in my life back in 1997, and somehow, through some blood, sweat, and tears and frustrations, they made me into an organ recovery coordinator, which incidentally I still do today. So just was on call yesterday. So many times in my day-to-day I hear Charles and Deirdre using some of those examples that I now use teaching other young coordinators of kind of what they learned and what not to do and what's best to do. And so many of those still apply today. They haven't expired. And in fact, when I was hired in 1997, the music you're enjoying today from Vanessa Kepper, she was my roommate. So it kind of all comes full circle, and she knew Charles and the TDS team quite a bit. So many lives touched by Charles. Today, I have the privilege of reading a letter. Let me use these first. That was written to Dana by Janette Szuber Catchpole, whose sister Patty donated her heart to their father. And Dana, I do want to say that I knew Charles through several seasons of life, and I've never seen him happier than this last season. And I think you are key to that. So thank you for making our friend so happy. Dana, I am so very sorry for your loss. Charles was such a dynamic person and so full of knowledge. I never met someone who was so incredibly smart. 30 years ago, my family met Charles at the University of Tennessee Medical Center. My baby sister, Patty, had been in an auto accident and was declared brain dead. We knew she wanted to be an organ donor, and arrangements were made. We were informed that my father, Chester Szuber, could receive Patty's heart. He had been on the waiting list for 4 years. He did ultimately receive her heart, and her gift extended his life for more than 30 years. Charles was such a special person to my parents. He was held in such high regard and respect in our hearts. I am so glad that he found love with you and happiness that brought him smiles. Thank you for sharing him with us. I can only hope that all your special memories will give you some comfort during this very emotionally difficult time. Fondly, Janette Szuber Catchpole, daughter of Chester and Janine Szuber. And at this point in time, do I invite Miss Deirdre back, who has now taken over the position of my mentor.